Ask anyone in the nonprofit sector why social workers leave, and you will get the exact same two answers. The pay is too low, and the work eventually grinds you down. But that accepted reality fails to explain a specific anomaly: the sudden, quiet departure of veteran high performers. These are the dedicated staff members who absorbed the stress and navigated the tight budgets for years, seemingly without issue. Then, overnight, they hand in their notice. If the salary and the intrinsic demands of the job didn't break them over the last half-decade, we have to look at what actually pushed them out the door. Nonprofit boards frequently point to limited resources to explain these organizational failures. The assumption is that with more funding or more hours in the day, the retention crisis would resolve itself. This diagram models a different kind of scarcity. While financial capital often remains steady, the leadership capacity bar is the one that triggers the warning state. This suggests the crisis originates in management rather than the accounting office. These high performers often maintain their devotion to the mission, but they reach a limit with their direct supervisor. Their resignation is a surgical removal of themselves from a specific manager's influence. Nonprofit operations rely heavily on collaboration. Every team member's output feeds directly into someone else's workflow, meaning a single broken link immediately shifts weight onto the rest of the staff. This creates what we call the competence penalty. When a manager avoids conflict and refuses to correct poor performance, they levy a direct tax on their best employees. Look at this workflow flowchart. Unmanaged tasks of low performers don't simply disappear. They are automatically rerouted, piling up continuously in the high performers' pipeline. Reliability becomes a liability. The contract breaks down when doing your job well only guarantees you'll do someone else's. A secondary limit on organizational growth comes from the ego-driven gatekeeper. An insecure manager views their team's expertise as a personal threat. To maintain control, they hoard power, shut down creative solutions, and refuse to delegate meaningful authority. The high performer is hired to solve complex social issues. Instead, their daily energy is consumed by navigating their leaders' insecurities and compensating for a complete lack of management. The physical workload is exhausting, but the true decline happens psychologically. Consider the victim leader, a manager who constantly complains to their own staff about the board or routinely expresses their own powerlessness, broadcasts a deep ineffectiveness that actively disempowers the entire team. Then there is the courage gap. This is the manager who strictly enforces arrival times and minor administrative policies, but refuses to take a calculated risk or advocate for the staff when real operational challenges arise. Combine a victim mentality with managerial cowardice, and a vital social mission degrades into a meaningless, endless checklist of administrative compliance. The final breaking point for a high-performing employee is the active cultivation of office politics. Applying hypocritical standards destroys team cohesion. A leader who plays favorites or ignores disruptive behavior from certain employees while holding others to impossible metrics creates an irreparably vindictive environment. Professional trust requires baseline consistency. Once that is replaced by hypocrisy, the psychological safety required to do the work vanishes, and the employee pulls the trigger on their resignation. The evidence suggests a hard truth for the sector. A worker's commitment to the mission is eventually outweighed by the daily reality of the person leading them. This dual-axis line graph tracks that exact macro-level consequence. Notice the severe negative correlation. As an organization's tolerance for limited leadership increases over time, top talent retention plummets to zero. You are actively purging the exact tier of talent required to achieve the mission. If you are a nonprofit worker feeling the strain, your deep commitment to your cause is valuable. It deserves leadership that matches your drive, rather than exploiting it. And if you are directing a team, remember that credibility is currency. It must be actively maintained every single day. The retention crisis ends when we enforce sustainable governance. Visit the NPO hub at Elizayo to learn how to build operations and cultures where your best talent actually wants to stay.